welcome to Brant County Council meeting for December the 21st, 2021. We're going to take attendance, noting that Councillor Wheat had some minor surgery today, and Councillor Coleman has spoken to him tonight, and he's fine, and he'll be back with us as soon as he can. He was telling me that if he could find a laptop on his bed today, he was going to come and join the meeting, but that didn't happen, but he's still doing all right. So I'm glad to hear that. Councillor Wheat's not going to be with us tonight. Councillor McAlpine?
Yes.
Yeah, Councillor Ferrier?
Present.
Councillor House?
Here.
Councillor Bell?
Present.
Councillor Pierce?
Here.
Councillor Chambers?
Here.
Councillor Miller?
Present.
Councillor Coleman?
Here.
Councillor Gatwood?
Present.
We had a wee bit of an echo with Councillor Bell, and I think we just caught the tail end of an echo with Councillor Gatwood, if you just want to keep an eye on that for us. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, please. Is there anything that you want added to the agenda before we, Councillor Pierce?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Something under other business, if I could, please.
Yep. Anything else? Seeing none. Councillor Coleman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Ferrier, the County and Brant agenda and addendum for December 21, 2021 be approved.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, and we'll carry on. Number 3 on the agenda is the declaration of pecuniary interest. Do we have any? Seeing none. Move on to number 4, which is petitions, delegations. We have none, I don't think. Heather, there's nothing at the last minute?
No, I have no delegations.
Thank you. Moving on to number 5, the adoption of the minutes from previous meetings, which consist of November the 23rd, December the 2nd, and December the 9th. We're going to try to get them approved all at once. Councillor Ferrier, you have that?
I do. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bell that the County of Brant Council minutes of November 23rd, December 2nd, and December 9th, 2021 be approved.
Thank you. Are there any questions at any of those 3 sets of minutes? Councillor Ferrier?
Yeah, just sort of business arising. We had a delegation that came to speak about a ban on conversion therapy. We chatted some more with them afterwards because we were looking at something to do, but it passed unanimously, all parties in the House, and it we talked then and they said, well, maybe a letter to the Senate, but it passed through the Senate as well and it's received royal assent. So no need to do anything at this point, but good news for that delegation and for the country.
Thank you for that. Any other comments or concerns or? No, seeing none. Thank you. I guess that would be part of minutes arising from the business arising from the minutes. Are there any other items that you want to speak to arising from the minutes? Councillor Gatwood?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the third set of minutes, 5.3, we talked about our new official plan, and we shrunk some settlement boundaries. And I'm wondering, recently I was told that the Birch settlement area or hamlet had a whole farm added to it. And I'd like to know from staff if that's correct. Because I thought that we had passed something to say we were not expanding any of the settlement boundaries or hamlets in this official plan. So if I could have that clarified, please.
Thanks, Councillor.
Great.
Michael?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Pam's not. Pam's off this evening. I'll try to do a good answer to this. And it was pointed out at the first meeting that the new official plan does add some hamlet boundaries, historic hamlet boundaries, and then restrain some other hamlet boundaries because of agricultural blocks in those hamlet boundaries. I've talked to staff quite a bit about this because there was some confusion at the last meeting about what's being proposed with those, such as the Birch hamlet boundary and the Scotland hamlet boundary. And I think staff are going to come back to council in January with some more information on that, because I think there is a bit of confusion about just exactly what is being done in that official plan with those hamlet boundaries. So with council's indulgence, staff will come back and maybe provide some clarification, because I think there is a bit of confusion about what's being proposed with the hamlet boundaries, because the provincial policy statement, as I understand it, lays out some guidelines on hamlets, the use of hamlets as a way to create community in the rural areas. And I think there's just some misunderstanding of those. So we can provide more clarification on that, maybe in greater detail over the course of the next month, if that's fine with council.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. And certainly, I didn't realize that the general manager was off, and I had sent her an email about the mapping. So can somebody from planning or yourself, CAO Bradley, please send me electronically all the maps that are proposed in the draft official plan? I have some of them in paper, but I'd like to look at all of them, and they're not all in paper. So if somebody could do that, I'd appreciate it. I cannot find them online. I've tried a few times, so I guess I'm not enough of a techie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gatward. Michael, you can make sure Joan gets a copy of the mapping.
Sure, we'll recirculate a set of the maps that were included in the original plan and in hard copy in one of the Friday files. So, and again, Mr. Chair, Your Worship, we will provide council with. We'll have to figure out how we're going to do that, but I do think there is some need for clarification on what's going on with some of the hamlet boundaries, notably Scotland, Birch, and I think even Glen Morris are a couple, as well as the other hamlets that are in the plan. So,
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 7, consent items. Councillor McAlpine.
Okay. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Chambers that consent items 711 to 712 be approved.
Does anyone want them separated? Councillor Pierce, you want to speak to one of them?
I do, Mr. Mayor, if I could, 7.1.2.
Yep.
So on page 46 of our package for the library there, the bottom paragraph, it says the budget is 62.44% spent as of September 30th, which is slightly behind expectations in a normal year, but anticipated due to delays in receiving orders and invoices. So do I take it from that the budget is slightly behind as far as the books are concerned, but there has been when it talks of orders and invoices. So there are things ordered to bring the budget up to where it's supposed to be, and it's just a delay in getting them, so they're not on the books, or has there been less ordered?
Councillor Howes, you want to speak to Kelly's on the call if you want to give it to Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Sure.
do you want to speak to that for me, please?
Thank you.
Right, yeah, of course. So through you, Mr. Mayor Bailey, Councillor Pierce, you're correct. The second thing that you said, we have committed, we have spent and ordered according to our budget, but have not yet received either product and or invoices for everything. Okay. Therefore, it's not gone through finance and is not appearing in the ledger yet.
Perfect. I thought that was the case. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Anyone else want to speak to either 1 or 2? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive? Thank you. Opposed? None. Committee reports. 8.1, Planning and Development Committee Report of December the 7th.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Yes. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think we missed out section 7.2.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were both going to be received at the same time. But we can vote on number 7.2. Do you have questions on that, Councilor Bell?
Mr. Mayor, I can put that on the table.
All right.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Gatward that consent item 7.2.1 to 7.2.9 be received as information.
Questions? Councilor Bell.
If I could, I'd like to separate item 7.2.8.
7.2.8. Okay, thank you. Anything else to be separated? Councillor Pierce?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess it's 7.2.6, please.
6 and 8. Anything else? Councillor Bell, do you want to speak to number 8 first, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I will. Just a bit of background. At the Social Services Committee, the issue of assisted funerals has come up a number of times. And in each of the committee meetings where this was discussed, the county representatives on the committee basically voted against the recommendations of the city because they did not recognize the particular needs of people in the county. Because of the committee structure of 6 city members, 4 county members, in any event, we were outvoted. So I'm concerned that when I read the report that you actually struggle to find the word county anywhere in the report. The analysis doesn't attempt to determine the differences between the county and city resident needs. The Ontario Works business plan, which is an attachment to the report, again, almost totally excludes reference to the county and fails to analyze county versus city needs. Now, this is just illustrative of why we wanted and needed a change in the social services agreement. So on that score, I'm glad we have a changed social services agreement. And I hope that when we move to the new social services agreement, the reports that illustrate what you see today as a subsidiary role that the county plays will not be the case going forward. More specifically to the assisted funeral services, the agreement that's being put in place fails to recognize the particular needs of certain county residents. And there is an ongoing dispute between funeral service providers in the county and the city who seem unwilling to recognize and understand those differences. So I would like to make a motion, if I may, Mr. Mayor, at the right time. If now is the right time, I'm happy to do it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so my motion would be that once a new social services agreement is in place, the county appointed members of the Social Services Committee be directed by this county council to request a further review of the assisted funeral services support service with a focus on the specific requirements of county residents that call on this service. And I'm looking for somebody to second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Coleman is going to second that. Is there any other discussion on that? Councillor Chambers?
Just a question then, this will set the precedent that the county council is directing members of the Social Services Committee on what to do I don't think we have to direct them. They can just do it if that's the will of the members on the committee. So I don't support the recommendation. I understand why, absolutely, but you shouldn't have to have a direction from county council. The members can act on their own. They have that right in that jurisdiction. So I think the recommendation or the resolution is moot. So I'm not going to support it. You have the authority to do just that. So do it.
Councillor Bell, do you want to respond to Councillor Chambers?
I have no particular response, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps Councillor Chambers is very correct, but I think there's a statement that I think the county council should stand by, should make a recommendation. We have been pushed to one side on this issue for the whole of the period of this current Social Services Committee. If the members of the 6 members that we elect for the Social Services Committee are of this mind, I could go along with what Councillor Chambers suggests. But in the absence of knowing who those 6 members are, I think it's appropriate for the county council to make its feeling known.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Ferry, then Councillor Miller.
Yeah, I think then procedurally, if I'm correct, then maybe there's an amendment to make here, but procedurally, if those 6 members were to go to the Social Services Committee and not get a resolution that they found beneficial for the county, the whole point of the new joint agreement is that we would have options to then deal with that. So again, this might not be necessary, though I do agree with the point. I wonder if Councillor Bell might want to think about like a slight amendment to just voice displeasure, or is this conversation enough? Because again, you don't want the members of council coming to the library saying that the 3 of us going to library board have to do a certain thing when that's not. Well, although if it came after a final report came in or a final decision, this is in a weird misty middle, so I can see why Councillor Bell feels this might be the way to go, but I think procedurally Councillor Chambers may be correct.
Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pretty much along what Councillor Ferry just said. I'll support Councillor Bell if we could just sort of tweak it. I mean, you could even bring forward a motion that this council asks that social services look into that as well. How these indigent funerals are not serving our residents. So if you could just tweak it just a little bit, I'd certainly support it.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Miller. If you would like to suggest a particular wording, I'd be more than happy to support it.
Councillor Miller.
I would need some time to think about it, but perhaps, Mr. Mayor, we could table this till later in the meeting, and perhaps we could have something possibly come up.
Okay, we'll deal with it then maybe later at Councillor Chambers.
The issue is the wording, the council direct the members of the committee, and that's what is procedurally not kosher. So you wish to make a statement, I can support it. That this council makes a statement that's fine, but I don't think we should be in a position where we are directing committee members to do something. And I think Councillor Ferrier expressed it is similar to what I did.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can have a go at it, Mr. Mayor, if I may, right now.
All right.
The motion would read that the county council is unhappy with the current status of the assisted funeral services support service and would request that the new social services committee conduct a further review of the support service once that new social services committee is established.
Thank you. Are you still on board for seconding that, Councillor Coleman? Yeah, does that make everyone feel better? Yeah. Any other, Councillor Gatward?
When will our new committees start? As in the John Noble and the social services?
Mr. Bradley, have you got a date for the?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I believe that the committee bylaw to create the new Social Services Committee is going to City Council this evening at their meeting. Once that bylaw has gone through, then City Council will be able to create that new committee and then seek members from both councils. So I would assume we'll probably be we'd be requested to appoint committee members in January, and then the new committee would probably meet in February. I think the agreement has a timeline. It has to meet within 60 days of the signature of the agreements. The agreements were all signed last week, so.
Thank you for that. And now the John Noble can amend their bylaw. I believe the city already has an appointee, but it's not official yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone's on board now. Call the vote. All those in favor? And it was unanimous. Thank you. Number 6, please. Councillor Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. This is regarding the letter from Jane. I believe the last name is Buick. My apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. Regarding 3 Yeo Street. I guess I'm gonna speak candidly of this. I take a little offense to the letter that she's written here, and I'll pinpoint a couple things within the letter that really don't sit well with me. First of all, she starts her letter off with that she's surprised with the level of negativity about the project, albeit politely stated. I don't think anybody was negative about this project. We were actually, quite happy and quite excited about what was happening from this. And then she alludes to the fact that, apparently emanating from previous discussions with local residents around the parking in the area. I can't speak for other councillors, but personally, I had no discussions with any of the residents around there regarding parking. So again, I didn't appreciate that comment. And then further down, it states the fact that I've seen Paris residents that want to see this building preserved, repurposed, and become a community asset. And as was stated, I think we all do. It's an amazing building. It's got great history to it. And nobody was saying that we did not want that. And then in the next paragraph, it talks about besides, shouldn't we be nudging people in the direction of walking more and driving less? I think we do that a ton around this council. We're always talking about walkability, and I'm going to center out Councillor Ferrier. He talks about that all the time. That we need to be more walkable and more accessible and that type of thing. And I think we do that very well as a county. And the last one, it says sending the message to this developer that they should just give up on this project is disappointing. Again, nobody sent the message to this developer that they should give up. What we did send the message to is that there is a very serious issue with parking. They were working with our folks in economic development and others and planning to try and figure out ways around it. So nobody was saying that they should just give up on it. And the statement that they make that whoever purchases this, it's going to be a parking issue for them too. It is. And that was absolutely stated by a couple of councillors in that meeting, the fact that it doesn't matter who owns this, there are going to be parking issues, but we're more than willing to work with them to try and figure out a solution to it. So again, I don't think anybody around this council table was negatively and telling this developer to stop and don't do it anymore. We were trying to work with them to get something done, because I think we all are under the understanding and we all want this building to succeed as it is because of the history of it. We don't want it to be torn down. So I took a little offense to that letter, and I wanted to speak about it tonight, and that's kind of why I had that pulled, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pierce. Is there any other comments? Councillor Bell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just following on from what John Pierce said, I don't know whether council is aware, but the building is now up for sale again.
Yeah, I had heard that. Yeah, when I saw the letter too, it's always sad to hear someone unhappy with things that we do for the right reasons, and have things twisted a little bit. I was a little disappointed to see the letter too. But anyway, thank you for separating. I'm glad that you said it out loud, because it affects us all when we get correspondence like that. So other than number 8, we're going to vote on everything else, right to 9, 7.2.1, 7.2.9, excluding number 8. We've already voted on that. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Committee reports now. Planning and Development Committee, please. Councillor Bell.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Pierce that the Planning and Building Committee report of December 7th, 2021 be approved, noting that there are 4 recommendations.
Anyone have anything to talk to about the Planning and Development Committee report? Seeing none, call a vote to receive. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 8.2, Administration and Operations Committee report, please. Councillor Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Chambers that the Administration and Operations Committee report of December the 14th be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Just a little thing there, Mr. Mayor, but item 13 talks about Ms. Oosteroff. It's the very last line of that was all those recommendations on page 181 of our report. It just says that, and that Ms. Oosteroff provide council a status update in a year's time. It should be that, and that Ms. Oosteroff be asked or be requested to provide. It's a little thing, but I think it's kind of an important thing.
On page 181, Madam Clerk, the last sentence.
Okay.
Thank you. Did we add those dates that Councillor Chambers brought forward, the 3 dates? Are they on our list? Yeah,
Yep, they're there.
thank you. Is there anything else then for the report? Everything's good? Councillor Gatward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the chair. On page 179, we're amending the development charge bylaw. And I'm wondering, is that going to include 7.2.9, which we just received for information regarding the increase in the Brant, Halden, and Norfolk Catholic District School Board development charges that they are increasing over the next 3 years, or 2 years, I guess it is. Will that also be incorporated in the amendment that's being made in number 9?
Mr. Mayor, if I could have staff help me out with this? I'm
Yep.
not sure the answer to that.
Heather Boyd, do you have your hand up? It's kind of distracting me. Heather Mifflin now has her hand up. No?
I don't see them.
Where's
Okay.
Robin?
Hi, Robin.
Hello. I
You
can
have an
answer that if you like.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Robin.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, that's not included in this development charge amendment. There's very specific items that we included in this amendment. That's
Mhm.
not one that can be looked at when the full study is done in 2024.
But they're increasing them in 7.2.9 effective November 28th, 2021, which is just 3 weeks ago.
Robin?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is the first that I have seen this. And opening up the development charge bylaw to do even the changes we did is a very long process requiring public meetings, etc. So to add this in at this point is not something that can be done if we want to get the development charges passed and start to be able to charge the increased development charge fee.
Your worship, if I could, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Maybe just for clarification, and I think the treasurer can confirm this as well. Our development charge bylaw doesn't include the education development charges. They're passed, they're separately, they're bylaws that are passed separately. The only thing we do is we collect them. So again, both the school boards can pass their own development charge bylaws. They can set their own development charge, exclusive or outside of our development charge. And the only really relationship we have with those development charges is we're the collection agency. So not unlike how we collect the school board taxes.
Heather shaking her head. Councillor Gatward?
Thank you for that clarification, because when I read this, I thought, oh, this is going to increase our development charges. But if they pay 2 separate charges at the time, then that's understandable why Robin, has said what she did. And we've never seen one of these from the Grand Erie School Board. And it appears that they've gone through a public process with increasing their DCs. And I think this is the second time I've seen this in the last 5 years. So I'm wondering, well, I guess I could ask the Grand Erie Board myself. I just wondered why we've never seen this come forward from them. I thought we collected them through our DCs somehow, but I'm mistaken on that. And be interesting to see the difference between the 2 boards on what they charge. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Heather, you had something to add to that too?
It's through you, Mr. Mayor. The Grand Erie Board does not charge educational DCs.
That's pretty clear, Councillor Gatward, for you. Yeah, okay, everyone else is clear? Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Committee of the Whole. Councillor House.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Coleman that the Committee of the Whole 2022 Budget Report and minutes of November 18th, November 30th, and November 14th be approved.
Questions? No questions? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Staff reports, the Bucket Center restoration, new library Brant. Councillor Bell.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miller that staff report RPT 21-340 be approved.
Questions? Councillor Miller?
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just reading the recommendation saying that a project team comprised of county and library staff be established to provide data oversight, and that they're looking at the restoration of the facility. Are we fully cognizant of what's going in that building at this point, other than the library and some municipal offices?
I think, well, Kelly's here, but Michael's here too. Michael, if you want to speak to it first.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, so council received a report a number of months back, and we laid out a very broad concept of what we saw to use the building for. We saw an addition being put on the building that would house core library services that Ms. Bernstein could probably speak further to if there was a need for that. And then we saw the historic building being used for a mix of, I would say, joint services between the public library as well as open space for county activities, such as programming and art shows and things like that. So, I think that's right now the broad concept. I think that concept will true up as we go through the design process articulated in the report, and we may find other potential uses as we go through that process. But that's what's perceived right now. I don't think we view any county offices being put in the facility at the time. That was a concept that was thought about back a few years ago, but our need for office space at this point with the new hybrid workplace is fairly limited. So.
Councillor Miller, do you want to hear from Kelly Bernstein?
No, that's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just if I could follow up there. So it sounds like what's going in there isn't quite set in stone yet. And the reason I'm asking this because social services, the child care part of it is looking at expanding. They are looking at expanding in the county in the next few years. And I was wondering, I don't know, but I thought maybe there might be a chance, if we haven't started renovating yet, that this site might host, one of those facilities. No idea, but I'm just wondering if we could, who's ever on the committee could maybe just keep that in the back of their head that might be a possibility.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Also remember the old Carnegie building is going to be freed up too, which could be used for that. And it would be nice if the Carnegie building could also be always accessible to the public. So maybe it could go there if it doesn't suit the library or the way the library is thinking. Councillor Gatward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, are there any timelines of when we will start this project and go through the steps that are clearly laid out for us?
Michael, do you want to answer that?
Certainly, Your Worship. If you go to the last page of the report, there's a project plan, kind of a high-level flow chart of a project plan. We didn't put dates on that. I think we would, as indicated in the report, the RFP for architect would be released in the early new year, and that would really set the project going. I think we would look at if we go through that flow chart and see the approval of the tender, that would be the award of the actual construction, happening sometime later in 2022. And then that build would take a couple of years. And so with the project wrapping up a couple of years after the tender is awarded. So that's probably the highest level project plan that I can lay out right now, because a lot of it will depend on how we do going through the design process and how involved that becomes. So that would be my high level estimate, that we would be looking to award a tender sometime later in 2020.
Councillor Gatward?
Thank you for that answer. And the other question I had was, if we're going to be using some of the space for cultural activities and maybe plays or theater upstairs in the Opera House, previously when they were looking to do a theater type facility in the county, there was a group who had done fundraising for that. And I'm wondering if that fundraising dollars, if the fundraising dollars that were raised are still sitting in a pot somewhere, or have they been allocated for other projects in the county? I have no idea, but it came to my mind when I was looking at this report. So does anybody know the answer to that?
Michael, do you know where the money went?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're holding some money in reserve. I think there's been a few, there was a donation from the Cowan Foundation. I think there was that donation. I recall, I think that number was $10,000 to $14,000. And I recall it being presented to council after we acquired the facility. And I think there were a few other small donations. I think they're all being held in a reserve right now, with the idea that we would use those as we move forward with the project once it got going.
Great, thank you very much. I didn't know that.
Councillor Howe is your next, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just in response to Councillor Gatward, I do remember that theater group and their passion for trying to save the old town hall, which was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And certainly as this project goes forward, we can try to reconnect with any remaining participants from that group, if they're around, via the Bucket Center steering committee and the library board.
Thanks, Councillor House. Any other questions to staff report 9.1? Seeing none, call the vote to receive it, please. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. 9.2 strategic progress update. Councillor Chambers, you have that?
I do, and it's moved by myself and Councillor McAlpine.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? 9.2, Councillor Laferriere.
Just a brief one. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Michael. I really like the report card feature, and I think it explains a lot in a very infographic, easy to digest way. I'm wondering if one, we as members could get that separated in a file for us in an email to give to constituents, and two, if it could maybe be its own link on the website.
Michael?
Your worship, absolutely. And I think the intent was that we would post this on the website, in the strategic plan section of the website.
Thank you.
We can definitely do that.
Perfect. Any other questions? Councillor Miller?
Just, I thought that was a good report. I thought it was a good news report. So I like what Councillor Laferriere suggested. I think I think we should kind of be spreading the message of what you're doing. Sounds like you've been quite busy, and I think you've been doing well. So let's get that word out there.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Any other questions of the report? 9.2. Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.3 is the fundraising campaign for the new community center in Canesville. Councillor Gatward, I think you have that.
Yes, I do. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Coleman that the staff report RPT 21-348 be approved.
Are there any questions for Councillor Gatward or Councillor Coleman regarding the new Canesville Community Center? I think at a different meeting, we might want to, if you want to think about who might want to be on that committee, we can talk about that at another meeting. Knowing that a couple of us have to or should, not have to, I kind of want to sit on that fundraising committee in Canesville. So we can talk about that another time. Is there anything else? All of those in favor of receiving the report? I'm glad that we're here for Canesville. It was a long time. They were the last people to have their toe out of the water during COVID. They almost got the shovel in the ground and they had to wait. So I'm glad that it's finally happening for them. Communications, we have none. Resolutions, we have none. Other business, someone had something. Councillor Pierce, you had something.
I do, Mr. Mayor. Just bear with me here. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My other business is the fact that I would like to make a notice of motion that I would like to reconsider the decision that was made on the properties of 143 and 183 Bethel Road in Paris. So I'm just letting everybody know that I'm going to be bringing that to the next council meeting. So this is my notice of motion that I would like to reconsider that.
Thanks, Councillor Pierce. Is there any other new business? I know that we didn't state it before, but if there's any other business you want to talk about now.
I think the mayor might have gone to the private room
I think he clicked the button to go.
for the motion.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
1 second, he'll be back in 40
Oh, okay.
seconds.
I was like, who's vice chair of this committee?
Heather.
Peekaboo.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to move this in camera?
And no, we're not quite in camera yet, but I guess.
No.
Heather, have you?
No, I
Okay,
can make the
well,
motion too.
Okay, I guess we were finished with other business. We'll now get the motion to move in camera. Councillor McAlpine.
Yeah, okay. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miller that the County of Brant Council convene in camera to discuss a litigation matter affecting the municipality of proposed acquisition of lands and a personal matter about an identifiable individual.
Thank you. All those in favor to move in camera? Opposed? Are we in camera now, Heather?
No.
No, we haven't gone in yet.
Okay, I don't know what happened to me. I went for a little journey there. That was my tribute to Councillor Wheat. I got bumped out and didn't know what I was doing there for a second. Anyway, we're all back.
I can see you, Mr. Mayor.
I can't see anyone. I'm gone again. And I didn't touch anything. I'm back again.
You are there now, yes.
All right.
Sounds like a St. George thing to me.
It's in the water. Wait, you watch Michael Bradley end the show. Okay, let's get in here. Okay. See, I can't see anyone. I'm not sure what's going on. Not that I don't have to see anyone, I guess. All right.
We're just going to sneak out now.
All right. No, is Mr. Walton here? No.
Your worship, Mr. Walden exited the call.
Okay.
In closed session. If you want, I can try to address the concern or bring it forward to staff.
Well, it's really just something that came to police services today. Councillor Pierce and I had someone come in a very, very friendly manner to talk about Mile Hill and sidewalks, just because people are discovering Mile Hill and it's becoming quite a heavily used road to shortcut the roundabouts. And so I was just thinking if Mr. Walton could maybe start thinking about what can happen at Mile Hill to make it safer for a lot of emergency vehicles that are using Mile Hill, just because it is a wonderful shortcut beyond all of it. And plus people, the residents are going to find Mile Hill too, and it's going to get busier and busier. And right now there's no sidewalks anywhere. And I know how Councillor Bell loves sidewalks, and I know how Mr. Walton likes to make Mr. Bell happy. So I just thought it would be a little bit of a heads up to county that we have to deal with that sooner than later. So that's why I wanted him to be here, but it wasn't on the agenda, so you can pretend you didn't hear it if I offend you.
Your worship, through you, your worship. So certainly I can bring that back to staff, and we can bring a staff report on some of the options we could do to increase walkability on Mile Hill. It's got some challenging topography. The road was rebuilt, I think, about 10 years ago, but we certainly look at some options. So.
Thank you. I just think that once we've been told about something and it's been brought to police services, not as a complaint, just as a concern, that we should jump on it and do something before we have problems. Anyway, bylaws, number 14 is Councillor Laferriere, please. Recognizing there's two bylaws that came as part of the addendum.
And I have those in here, I believe, correctly.
Thank
If I don't, well, Heather, let me know. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Howes, the bylaws 121-21 and 135-21 to 146-21 and 147-21 be now read a first time.
Thank you. All those in favor? Second reading, please, Councillor Laferriere.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Howes, the bylaws 121-21 and 135-21 to 146-21, as well as 147-21 be now read a second time and all clauses and preambles be adopted.
Thank you. Are there any questions to the bylaws? Seeing none, we can call for the third reading, please, Councillor Laferriere.
I'll try not to do it like an auctioneer. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Howes that bylaws 121-21, 135-21 to 146-21, and 147-21 be now read a third time, passed, signed, and executed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you, Councillor. Last thing on the agenda is the scheduling of our next meeting, which will be November the 30th.
I hope not.
I hope not. I hope
January
not.
25th.
That's a great day. That's the mayor's birthday.
I like the mayor's idea in November.
I think so too. Just before we adjourn, I'd like to thank staff for everything they're doing through these crazy times with the federal directions, the provincial directives. It's crazy. It's confusing. People are tired. People are difficult. And but every time we get a difficult email or phone call, I get wonderful calls saying how good of a job we're doing. So it's not all doom and gloom. People appreciate everything we're doing as councillors and as a county and as staff. So I mean, the ones that are very tired, maybe a little bit tired of everything, are the ones that seem to be the loudest. but there are very quiet, very nice people giving us direction and praise and thanking us every day. So keep that, just know that that's happening. It's not all as crazy as it might seem. So thank you all for all your hard work. And if there's nothing else for the betterment of the county of Brant, we stand adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas all.